Welcome to Live Shadows channel. Before anything, you subscribe to 4 months had passed since my pregnancy. I was not feeling well at all. My fever was so severe that I had not eaten anything except eggs and water for the past 2.5 months. For the last few days, I felt that my tongue was swollen in my mouth and as if it was about to be torn off. There wasn't a day that I didn't cry and wish for death. Everyone said something and had an opinion, but I was too careless to follow the advice of Aunt Kanbajiha. Only the words of the doctor were ringing. I was lying like a corpse in the corner of my mother's house. I couldn't stand my own house. I couldn't stand anything at all. No one had heard that a pregnant woman was fond of singers' voices and metal frames, but I was unlucky enough to be fond of triangles. In yellow, with the sound of double speakers, television and life was spent like a nightmare. Every day lasted for a week. Until that morning when I felt the baby move in my stomach. It was strange. I was stunned for a few minutes. I left the restroom more lethargic than before. My body was still hot when I noticed a drop of cold water dripped on the back of my hand. I raised my head to the rain so that the drops hit my face, but I hear the strange scream of many cats. I feel that they are pouring boiling water somewhere, but from something I was looking at the neighbor's canvas, I forgot the sound of the cats and my breath stopped. Is it possible? A 1-year-old child who kept his balance on the edge of the canvas by half. I hear my mother crying. I open my eyes. She throws herself on me and calls God loudly. Little by little, I realize that I am shaking so much that my mother is also moving up and down with me. My whole body is wet with sweat, a cold sweat that I feel alive with every oozing. I see my father desperately trying to help my mother and enters the room with 2 blankets. A few moments pass. The first time that our dot's father cried, and I see that if it had been any other time, maybe I would have died from. Only the word ambulance was ringing in my ears. The cold had reached my elbows and knees and I had a strange feeling of indifference. I no longer felt a sense of belonging and sadness for my family. As if I was separating from strangers. I woke up and was returning to the cold and dark peace that I belonged to when everything became dark and my brain shut down. I open my eyes. Everywhere is dark and hot. I feel like a mountain is weighing on my chest. My body is wet and sore. I call my mother. The mother is still crying and says, God, let your mother die. My father and wife stare at me in disbelief as if they see something strange. I say the word water with difficulty and I ask my mother to bring her head closer. I am in a better mood than to be embarrassed because I wet my clothes and I understand this. With the gesture of my mother, my father and my wife leave the room. The mother is still crying, but she is happy that her daughter is alive. I don't know the blankets. A few minutes. A feeling tells me that there is a connection between the death of the child in my womb and that woman and child behind the canvas. 4 months have passed since my pregnancy. This is the beginning of the story. Thank you for following, liking and commenting.